Everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamer Dad channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today we're diving into another technical video. I encourage new players or even some players that may be returning to the game depending on when they left to kind of pay attention to some of these items that are actually in the game. Now, the reason I'm making this video is I've seen a lot of people asking questions about some of the exotics that they may have missed in some of the seasons, like the Memento Backpack, the Vile Mask, and potentially maybe even the Scorpio. Now, these weapons, their drop rates are kind of, a little wonky because you missed the seasons. I don't necessarily know anything else other than to farm the targeted loot for these items. But that's not all. There are some really good items in the game that I wanted to highlight, and this is in more of the specifics to tank builds. These two items are my favorite items, and I'll highlight another one on the back end because I don't necessarily use it as I did anymore, but it's still very, very solid. Now, a tank build is designed for you to be able to take on a lot of damage, for you to be able to eat attention from enemy NPCs that are dealing high amounts of damage and keep your team alive so that they can burst down these enemy NPCs. Now, one of my favorite items, even though it's very situational, is actually the Sawyers knee pads. Now, Sawyers knee pads doesn't necessarily get as much credit as I feel like this item should get. The item has a stand your ground talent that basically says you cannot be staggered by explosions, and then it increases your total weapon damage by 3% each second you're not moving, and it stacks up to 10 until you start moving. All stacks are lost basically 10 seconds after moving. So that's a very good thing to do. So you can stand your ground. You can pretty much gain the benefit of this particular talent and then keep that benefit for about 10 seconds. Now, yes, it's hard when you're getting peppered, when enemy NPCs are shooting you in legendary missions, when, bad guys are focused on you. And in many cases as a tank, enemy NPCs are trying to surround you and all. So it requires you to kind of do some really interesting mechanics. But nonetheless, you still have that 3% extra weapon damage that you're already leveraging. And when you're tanking, you're more than likely using this particular bulwark shield. It's just what you're using. And so that gives you a lot of damage mitigation, and your build is more than likely not even going to have a lot of damage. So you're going to have to use a high damage sidearm. The Liberty and the Regulars come to mind. Or you could use just a simple D50, which is, I think that's the non-named, that's what the Liberty is based off of. Or you can use just the Magnum. Hard-hitting, sidearms are going to do it for you. And then find a way to spec headshot damage into some of your gear. And this should just work. I mean, the Liberty hits very, very hard. The Regulus is a whole different monster in its own right, but not everybody has access to this. But the reason I'm excluding some of these items that could be much more difficult to get is because the other items you can actually get. For Sawyer's knee pads, you can farm knee pads. You can get them from your exotic chests much easily. They're much more permeasive in the game. A lot of people already have a pair, and they may be happy to drop them for you. So consider this exotic if you've never used it, because it's probably in almost every player's stash, and take a look at it for tank builds. This is something that really does work. Now, again, even in non-tank builds, this particular knee pads do have some application, because if you're not tanking, you can stay in cover and also use it. This is number one. Number two, one of my favorite items for tanking is the Tardigrade Armor system. This chest piece, I've always enjoyed it since it came out. I've been a big fan. I remember when I was looking for my Tardigrade and I could not find one. It was kind of disheartening, but eventually I was able to get one. I think somebody may have dropped one for me, or one of the bosses in some mission. I think it's the Lincoln Memorial that dropped this item for me, and it's actually pretty cool. What it does is it has an ablative nanoplating, and it says whenever you or any allies, your armor breaks, they gain 80% of your armor as bonus armor for 10 seconds. Now, this says a cooldown per ally is 45 seconds, and it says kill an enemy with your specialization weapon removes the cooldown for all allies. Now, this is a very interesting one because they kind of want you to use your specialization to kind of clean out, the cooldown, and you can actually do it. Specializations are kind of high damage. So you can run a mixed hybrid build with this. You can run a tank build with it because you can also get your specialization out depending on what it is that you've spec'd for, and you can basically go ahead and just take down enemy NPCs with your specialization weapon. I usually like to use a Demolitionist when I'm tanking because I could just get that, I could put my shield down and I can deal a lot of damage. It's one of the higher DPS specialization weapons because you don't really have to sit there reloading, or you don't have to sit there aiming like the other weapons, or even like the gunner. Enemy enemy NPCs can just basically scatter into cover and you can miss a bunch of your shots. So I usually like using that as, you know, my own deal. Now, I would also recommend the firewall specialization for the extra shield strength, but I don't have my firewall unlocked yet, so I'm not talking about it, well, on this particular character anyways. So I'm not talking about it in this particular video. But the Tardigrade Armor system also comes in very handy in missions like raids, where a lot of people are going to be taking a lot of damage while trying to carry out specific tasks. And one thing about the Tardigrade Armor system, and the reason I've always liked it in raids is, you know, you can pretty much help out a teammate that's, you know, somewhere across the map from you. Imagine if you guys are playing, say, your, you know, some raid, maybe Iron Horse, and you guys are in one of the rooms where you're in an isolated corner. You know, you're in this corner, you can't really affect much other than do your own job when you're looking at the screens and all of the above. Well, if somebody is inside actually getting some work done, right? They're trying to maybe, you know, do the tasks that are inside. Honestly, I don't even really know what's done inside Iron Horse. And don't tell our raid, you know, lieutenants, because they're going to put me in there and they know how much I love this raid. Or if you're maybe in this particular room and, you know, everyone is running around trying to do something quite specific and somebody gets, you know, their armor broken, they can easily get that 80% of your armor. And even though you're not a tank, even though it's not necessarily a lot of, you know, healing, it is still very, very, you know, significant. It's significant enough to be able to keep them. And then, you know, on the back end, I also have to go ahead and mention Perfect Vanguard. Now, if you look at this particular raid mission that we're playing, you can see almost everybody's health bar has a huge blue highlight. And the reason is because we have somebody that's rocking Perfect Vanguard on our team, or Vanguard at least. Now, Vanguard is a talent. When you pop your shield, there's a window that gives your entire team bonus armor. This is actually very good. This one is an instant armor boost to everybody, but it does have some sort of a cooldown, but the perfect version is actually quite beautiful in the way that it actually works. In fact, Perfect Vanguard is such a good talent that it was one of the causes of our little run-in with one of the clans in the DZ that tried to steal one of them from a friend of ours, and we decided that we were going to go ham, go rogue to get that particular chest piece back because it was a Perfect Vanguard and it actually had max rolls on the item. It was just one chest piece and there was a lot of drama about it. And so we went into Dark Zone. I made that video, and if you haven't seen it or if you've seen it, make sure you go ahead and search for it. I might leave a link in the description. And we made sure that we got that item out of the Dark Zone. It was quite interesting. In fact, if, you know, after everything, to think that we were able to pull that off and get the item back from the guys that stole it, and then extract it even in the face of all of the opposition that was actually there. So again, these items are just actually so good that you really have to pay attention to them in your builds. And yes, they have their situational uses, but nonetheless, it doesn't reduce how effective they are when it comes to combat, when it comes to helping your team, and even in some cases, if you want to run it solo, maybe when it comes to helping, you know, in your own build. Here's a Vanguard talent. I don't think I have a perfect one. Maybe I have it on another character somewhere. I have it on PC for sure. It says deploying a shield makes it invulnerable for 5 seconds and grants 45% of your armor as bonus armor to all other allies for 20 seconds. So if you're a tank and you have 1 million armor, or maybe you have 2 million armor, you're going to grant 45% of that to all of your teammates for about 20 seconds. It's very powerful. And like I showed you just now in the raid, you know, that we were playing, we had 2 tanks at the end when we were playing against Morsova with this very interesting strategy. I've never seen it before, but I'll try my best to make a video over it once I can ask more questions of our you know, clan members that kind of suggested it. But it was very interesting. We used a whole different methodology, and I think, you know, we were able to just pretty much keep everybody in a state of bonus armor. It was actually pretty cool, in my opinion. But I'll get out of this video. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Share. Those of you that are veterans, come on. You guys have the ability to teach, and there are a lot of people that are coming back, or a lot of people that are new, a lot of people that probably maybe installed the game, played level 1 through 20 and didn't know what was going on. Your comments and your contributions really do help them whenever it is we make these videos. All right, talk to you guys soon. Peace out.